What's going on YouTube, fam? It's your boy Tony 2 times, and we back with another episode of the Baltimore Way, man. Before I start, be sure to tap that like button. Definitely watch this video to the end to hear the full story and all the details in the case. For the day one, fam, y'all already know it's all love. Thanks for tuning back into another episode. If you're new to the channel and you feeling the content, feel free to subscribe. Definitely hit that notification bell so you can be notified every time we drop a new video. Oh yeah, feel free to share the channel with your peoples. Everybody is welcome. Before I get into this story, I'm gonna give y'all a little disclaimer. Everything in this video is public information. With that, let's get right into it. In life, it's different kind of people. And every one of us walking on this earth views the world and the people in it in a different way. Some people navigate their life, stay to themselves, out the way. They don't really hang with nobody or be on the scene. And usually when you meet a person like that and you ask them why, it's from life experiences. Either they have been betrayed, hurt, and really don't trust people because they know individuals have motives and hidden agendas. So they choose to be alone. On the flip side, you have others. Their personality just don't fit that laid back in the house, stay to myself kind of vibe. They like to laugh, live, hang out, and have fun. Be outgoing, keep a circle of friends, and turn up. It's nothing wrong with being either way, but some feel like the quiet loner who is cool with having a few drinks by themselves, watching a good movie, and calling it the night is boring and lonely. And relationships, friends, parties, and building bonds is just the way to go. But if we don't know nothing else in this thing we call life, we know to watch your circle and the company you keep, because every smile is not genuine and every handshake doesn't come with loyalty. And when the snakes in your circle land in the cut, it won't be long before they strike. And unfortunately, the outcome could be fatal. And on this episode of the Baltimore Way, we'll be discussing a recent case of a hotel party with friends that ended with a young woman gone. Earlier this month, 28-year-old Kierra Tripp, who friends and family called Kitty, was living a fulfilled life in Baltimore. She had a tight-knit family, and she was described as being funny, goofy, smart, outgoing, and loyal. Kitty took an interest into cutting hair early on and would become a dope barber, but had dreams of going bigger. The young lady had just finished school and became an EMT, and she was going back to become an anesthesiologist. The fun-loving young lady will often kick it with friends and family, and was the type of person that would look out for everybody around her if they needed something and she had it. With that kind of personality, it attracted a pretty big circle of friends and relationships. So on November 16th of this year, when she and her friends decided to attend a hotel party, it was normal behavior. That night, they headed to the Residence Inn, located in the 800 block of North Wolf Street. Once at the hotel, many people showed up for the party. They all seemed to be laughing, having a good time, and getting ready for the night. Kitty and her friends all got in the room and was ready to turn up. But about 1:30 a.m. on November 17th, tragedy would strike. Somebody called BPD, who responded to the room the young lady was in response to a gunshot. When they arrived, they found Kitty suffering from a gunshot wound to the head. She was taken to Johns Hopkins Hospital, which was close by, but unfortunately, the young lady wouldn't survive her injuries. As police canvassed the hotel, there wasn't any witnesses or suspects. They only knew she was attending a party with friends, and there was multiple people in the room. They talked to guests who were staying at the hotel. Many were surprised at what took place because nobody saw or heard anything. As the case hit the news and Kierra's family realized what happened, they were devastated but also confused on why nobody the young lady was with, who she called sis or bro, had any information on what happened. The only thing BPD could do is release footage of people who attended the party getting off the elevator. It showed everybody smiling and walking to the hotel room, which caused even more confusion, as her people felt somebody had to know exactly who did it. They made posts on social media asking for justice and stating how loyal she was to her circle and the people who she considered friends, just for somebody to take her life. They also wanted people to know she was a sister, aunt, very loved, and had a strong family. But police still had no answers to give them. They spoke out, stating they released the footage, not saying nobody was a suspect, but they did know that every individual on the video attended the party. They even had information on who exactly booked the room. Some people were even comparing the situation to the Kenneka Jenkins case in Chicago, where a young girl went to a hotel party with friends and later was found gone in the freezer, with no explanation and her friends keeping it quiet. But in Kitty's case, she was shot. She didn't leave the room at all. A $8,000 reward is being offered for any information, but as of now, police have no leads or suspects, and the case remains unsolved, with the family still looking for justice. Rest in peace to Kierra. I send my prayers and condolences to her family. It's always tough losing a loved one close to the holidays, but in a situation like this, out having fun with so-called friends and people she trusted just hits a little harder, especially when everybody is saying they don't know what happened. Sometimes as people, we have blind loyalty. We rock with people hard, but we never step back and ask ourselves, like, yeah, I'm 100 with them, and we riding out, but how do they really feel about me? When you have a lot of people in your circle, it leaves you vulnerable, because there's no way everybody is solid and care about your well-being. It could be hate, envy, somebody being jealous, but we often don't see it coming because we get finessed with words like sis, bro, fam, fake smiles that turn into frowns as soon as your name come up and you are not around. Kierra's people made some good points on their post. They stated all her peoples claimed to have real love and loyalty, but it can't be that if something like this happened. But I'm gonna leave this one right here. I won't speculate. I'm just shedding light on the story and sending prayers and my condolences to the family. Yeah, man, crazy story. Rest in peace, that young lady. Like I said, it's a recent case. Everything in this is public information. She went out to a hotel party with her friends. Police found her in the room. I think somebody in the hotel called the police, but I think when they got there, I don't think nobody was still left in the room. I think it was just her, but I'm not sure, so I won't speculate on that. But yeah, y'all leave it in the comments. Y'all definitely let me know what y'all think about the situation. I appreciate you if you made it to the end. This is another episode of the Baltimore Way. It's your boy Tony 2 times. Y'all already know it's all love, fam. I'm out.
It's your girl, Mrs. Tony 2 times, and I'm back with another episode of the Baltimore Way. In this video, I'll be taking it just 30 minutes south of Baltimore to Severn, Maryland, to discuss the tragic case of Jasmine Adams, a mother of two who lost her life after a drug deal gone bad. But before we get into this video, please hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any future uploads. And of course, feel free to share this video with everyone you know. Also, if you'd like to see more episodes of The Baltimore Way, please click the link to the playlist in the description box after this video to get caught up. All right, let's get into it. Jasmine Adams was born on July 8th, 1989. She was a resident of Severn, Maryland. Jasmine became a mother to twin girls in 2008. Jasmine and her child's father had a very rocky relationship. It was a volatile situation that involved DV allegations, along with ongoing custody and child support issues. Jasmine did her best to persevere through it all in order to be the best mother she could be to her girls. Things got so bad that she had to file a protective order against her twins' father in 2015. She also said that he would tell her he was sending his family or his girlfriend to put hands on her. Jasmine was in fear of something bad happening to her because of the threats. Jasmine filed a petition seeking criminal charges against him for violating the order in 2016 because of those threats. He told her to watch her back in her neighborhood. However, the charges were ultimately dropped because Jasmine did not show up to court. and the prosecution was unable to move forward on the case without her. 3 years later, Jasmine moved to a nice townhome on Hawk Court in Severn. Once Jasmine moved in, neighbors noticed how wonderful she was with her 10-year-old daughters. She was pleasant and spoke every time she came and went. Jasmine was doing okay in life at this point, but things took an unexpected turn. On Wednesday, August 15th, 2018, Jasmine's father, concerned for her welfare, went to her home on the 1800 block of Hawk Court to check on her. As he walked around the house, he saw no signs of Jasmine. He decided to take a look inside the basement. As he stepped down the stairs, he saw Jasmine lying there unresponsive. As he got closer, he knew something was seriously wrong. Jasmine was no longer alive. He called 911 and officers arrived at the scene around 11:24 a.m. When officers arrived at the scene, they found 29-year-old Jasmine. It was apparent that she suffered severe trauma to her upper body. Thankfully, Jasmine's daughters were away at the time of their mother's slaying. There were no signs of forced entry, which meant Jasmine probably knew her assailant. During the initial investigation, her slaying was ruled as just suspicious, but after the autopsy was conducted, it was officially ruled a homicide. Jasmine had lost her life due to puncture wounds in her upper body from a sharp object. Neighbors were stunned and couldn't believe Jasmine had lost her life so brutally. Jasmine's family wanted answers. As the investigation went on, detectives looked into the protective order she had against her twin's father back in 2015. With the prior threats and DV allegations, he quickly became a suspect. However, he was immediately ruled out because he had been in jail since July 25, 2018, so there was no possible way he could have physically committed the crime. As detectives continued to investigate Jasmine's case, forensics tested DNA evidence from the scene. The forensic lab worked tirelessly to narrow down a list of possible suspects. 11 months later, in July 2019, just days before what would have been Jasmine's 30th birthday, 39-year-old Dominic Sanchez was charged with slaying Jasmine. Dominic and Jasmine were acquaintances. Dominic was already in jail where he was being held without bond on an attempted hit charge from an incident that took place on August 13th, 2018. And that incident was connected to Jasmine's case. According to charging documents, Jasmine and Dominic were involved in a drug deal gone bad that erupted in gunfire 2 days before Jasmine was found slain in her basement. Court records revealed that on August 13th, 2018, Jasmine arranged a drug deal between Dominic and another man to purchase some grass. Jasmine went with Dominic to make the deal. When Dominic and the man were about to make the exchange, Dominic pulled out a gun and shot him. The man drove himself to the hospital where luckily he survived and told police about the incident. On the morning of Jasmine's slaying, cell phone records show that Jasmine had texted someone and told them she was afraid Dominic would do something to her because she knew about the shooting. Jasmine sent her last message to that person at 5:39 a.m. on the day she was found gone. Cell phone records corroborated these events. Anne Arundel police arrested Dominic in February 2019 for the attempted hit charge on the dealer. he pleaded not guilty to that case. Dominic had a long criminal history dating back to 1998. Court records show he pleaded guilty in 2000 to a second-degree hit charge in Baltimore. Jasmine's family was thankful that her case had been solved. In 2021, Dominic pleaded guilty to slaying Jasmine Adams. He was sentenced to life in prison with all but 40 years suspended. May Jasmine Adams continue to rest peacefully. My deepest condolences to her family. She was a beloved mother, daughter, granddaughter, and so much more. Jasmine was a sweet woman who took care of her children. Unfortunately, she just got caught up in the wrong situation with the wrong person. I don't believe Jasmine knew what Dominic really had planned to do that day. It's so crazy that he took her life in fear of her telling on him when he was the one that involved her in his plan to take off the dealer. Jasmine had gone through so much already, and to have her life taken over something so insignificant is very heartbreaking. Fam, please tell me your thoughts on this tragic story in the comments below. All right, fam, that's it for this episode of the Baltimore Way. Thank you all so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. This is your girl, Mrs. Tony 2 times, and I'm out.
What's going on YouTube, fam? It's your boy Tony 2 times, and we back with another episode of the Baltimore Way, man. Before I start, be sure to tap that like button. Definitely watch this video to the end to hear the full story and all the details in the case. For the day one fam, y'all already know it's all love. Thanks for tuning back into another episode. If you're new to the channel and you're feeling the content, feel free to subscribe. Definitely hit that notification bell so you can be notified every time we drop a new video. Oh yeah, feel free to share the channel with your peoples. Everybody is welcome. Now for the day one fam that been around for 3 years or more, y'all might remember I touched on this story just a little bit, but I ain't get all the way into the story. So today, y'all stay tuned. I'm gonna cover the full story of a Baltimore family called the Dawsons family. Some people can't choose where they live or the environment they come from. We all would like to have the American dream with the big house with a white picket fence and a safe neighborhood to raise our kids at. But in real life, that's not everyone's reality. Most people live and go where they can afford, and sometimes it might not be the best neighborhoods or in the best part of town. But just because somebody lives in the so-called trenches doesn't mean they want their family and kids subjected to what goes on in the area. They want to feel safe just like the suburban family feels at night. We have all heard the saying, product of our environment. Some people feel like they don't have any choice. They play the cards they were dealt, meaning if I come from the projects and that's all I see is packs being sold, shooters and robbers, that's just what it is. But you have some people that despite their circumstances and where they live, they want no parts of the streets and just want to live a safe, normal life. But depending on the people around you, that might not be as easy as it sounds. And on this episode of the Baltimore Way, we'll be taking it all the way back to 2002 to discuss the tragic case of retaliation on a family that shook an East Baltimore neighborhood to the core. Back in 2002, 36-year-old Angela Dawson, her husband, 43-year-old Cornell Dawson, and their 5 kids, LaWanda, who was 14, Juan, who was 12, Keith and Kevin, twins, both 9, and Cornell Jr., 10 years old, were trying to live a regular life in East Baltimore. The husband and wife had met 12 years prior when Angela moved from the city for a few years to Severn, Maryland. Cornell himself was also relocating from Oklahoma at the same time for a fresh start in life. Cornell moved in with his older sister in Severn. That's where the couple would meet and eventually blend their families. Angela already had 2 daughters and a son, and Cornell himself also had daughters back home. As the couple grew closer, they got married and had more kids. And eventually, Angela and Carnell moved the family back to her hometown of Baltimore. They landed in East Baltimore at a row home in the 1400 block of East Preston Street. The neighborhood was a hot spot for crime and definitely drug activity. But the family figured as long as they stayed on their kids and out the way, they would be okay. Angela, the oldest of 4 siblings, was described as being strong-minded, not taking nothing off of nobody, and always stood up for herself. Carnell, with a military background, was the same way. The family would often hang out front, let the kids play, listen to music, and try to coexist with their neighbors. But they soon realized the part of the city they was in had a lot going on, a lot of traffic, basically being right in the middle of the Baltimore drug trade. The corner boys would post up on their steps, hit cells, smoke, and chop it up all day and night. After a few incidents and feeling like her kids wasn't safe, Angela would start calling city police to report drug selling and other crimes on the block. On Preston and Eden though, the block was making money, so it was no slowing down for the dope boys. Eventually, they figured out who was reporting them after a few arrests were made, and Carnell himself threatened to call police after hearing somebody screaming on the corner, red tops and black tops. For out-of-towners, that's a vow used to package product to sell. The corner boys started targeting the family, busting their windows in their house, making threats, to the point the family called Baltimore City Police up to 35 times to report multiple crimes. By this time, they spent most of their time in the house. By 2002, in October, the attacks on the family had gotten more serious, with somebody throwing a bottle at the house, which was later revealed to be a Molotov cocktail, in attempts to set the home on fire. Carnell called BPD on October 3rd and reported he had gotten into an argument with the corner boys for smoking and trapping in front of his house. He stated one man in particular, named Darrell, told him to stop snitching, or if not, they had something for him. Carnell told police that's who he thought threw the cocktail, but no one was hurt at that time. The corner boys kept doing what they was doing, and Angela and Carnell kept trying to get them to stop. But on October 16th, the situation would reach a tragic breaking point. At about 2:20 a.m. in the morning, neighbors reported a fire coming from the Dawsons' home and stated they saw the father Carnell pleading for help at the window. Firefighters responded to the home, which was engulfed in flames, in which Carnell had jumped and was laying in the street. As they put the fire out and walked through the house, firefighters couldn't believe what they saw. Angela and her 5 kids had been caught in the blaze and passed away in the fire. Carnell was also unfortunately pronounced gone outside. As the morning hit, the neighborhood was shook by what happened. A whole family had lost their life. People prayed, put teddy bears on the location for the kids, but people from the area knew something wasn't right about the incident. As firefighters and police investigated, they found it wasn't a regular house fire, but intentionally caused. After figuring out it was more than likely a Molotov cocktail, they remembered they had got a call from Carnell days earlier, stating a person named Darrell was targeting him and his family. As the neighborhood grieved, some people who was tired of the crime in the area, just like the Dawsons, reported seeing Darrell lurking right by the family's home before the fire. The 21-year-old man was picked up and taken into custody and charged with the crime on the family, which was considered retaliation for them snitching. As the family were laid to rest, their other family members filed a lawsuit against the city, stating they urged for people to report crimes under the See Something, Say Something Act, but in return, they don't help the civilians who put their lives on the line to report. The state made a statement. They stated they offered to relocate the family, but they didn't want to leave their home. The lawsuit was eventually dropped. Darrell would get his day in court and was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole in 2003. Years after the tragedy, the community and state decided they would try to rebuild the home and make it a safe place for neighborhood kids to come by, hang out, do homework, play games, and just have an outlet. They named it after the family, the Dawson Safe Haven Center, with millions of dollars going into the program. The center had sailed for years, but eventually it just became abandoned, with no warning or reason. The Dawsons family story went nationwide and opened people's eyes to the no snitching code in Baltimore. And some people felt the city let the family down. But now, over 20 years later, it's been questions. Has crime in the city gotten better or worse? Some say worse, with thousands of people leaving Baltimore every year and search for a better life. But others are more dedicated to stay and try to keep building the city up. Let me know what y'all think about the conditions of the city from then to now. Has it gotten better or worse? Rest in peace to the Dawsons and their kids. I send my deepest prayers and condolences to their remaining family. Some people want to live a normal life, no matter their environment. I know some will say, why they just didn't move? But for some people, it's not that easy to just pick up and go. And unfortunately, doing what they was trying to do as parents, trying to protect their kids and keep them safe, backfired and eventually cost them their lives. Yeah, man, I'm pretty sure for all us from Baltimore, we heard about this story many a times, you know what I mean? I was in the city when this story came out. I remember hearing about it, watching the news with my grandmother, her shaking her head about the situation. But yeah, man, definitely rest in peace to that family. Real messed up situation. But I just wanted to touch back on this. Like I said, I briefly spoke on it years ago, but I just wanted to put more information out there and share it back with the people. But I definitely appreciate you if you made it to the end. This is another episode of the Baltimore Way. It's your boy Tony 2 times. Y'all already know it's all love, fam. I'm out. What's going on, YouTube, fam? This your boy Tony 2 times, and we back with another episode of the Baltimore Way, man. Before I start, be sure to tap that like button. Definitely watch this video to the end to hear the full story and all the details in the case. For the day one fam, y'all already know it's all love. Thanks for tuning back into another episode. If you're new to the channel and you feeling the content, feel free to subscribe. Definitely hit the notification bell so you can be notified every time we drop a new video. Oh yeah, feel free to share the channel with your peoples. Everybody is welcome. Let's get right into the story. When most people decide they want to make some fast money, not working a typical 9 to 5, and still maintain a certain lifestyle, most choose to jump into the streets. You could be the biggest trapper or stepper in your area or neck of the woods. People could respect you, know not to play with you and your team because you have built a name for yourself that carries weight. But what most fail to realize, just because you that dude in your city doesn't mean nothing when you hit that highway and choose to play the game in somebody else's backyard. In different parts of the world, the rules in the street changes place to place. For example, an individual could be the man down south, where they hustle in trap houses, make plays off their phone, and people respect him, as long as everybody eating. But if that same individual goes up north, where people serve on blocks, sell different products, and go to war about certain neighborhoods, making more money, that same trap star might find himself lost in the sauce, because the way they move is not the way he used to moving. Some street dudes pride themselves on being able to adapt and make things shake anywhere, no matter what part of the world they come from. But when you talk different, move different, to the locals, it's almost like putting blood in the water with hungry sharks. And depending who you choose to swim with, usually the one that doesn't understand how to navigate those waters gets ate. And on this episode of the Baltimore Way, we'll be discussing a couple's plan to run off on an out-of-town plug that turned fatal. All the way back in 2007, a young Baltimore couple were navigating life in the city. They were at the time 28-year-old Lance Walker and his girlfriend, 31-year-old Nadira Marino. The two had made a pretty decent life for themselves, living outside the city in a nice home in Perry Hall, Baltimore County. And despite not going the traditional route into a courthouse, Lance and Nadira considered themselves married and husband and wife. But see, Lance was a street dude that had deep ties in the city and allegedly had a little bit of rank in BGF, or the Black Guerrilla Family for out-of-towners. In and out of trouble at a young age, most of his convictions were drug related, in which a lot of his years were spent in and out of Maryland correctional institutions. But that wouldn't stop the couple from making legit moves also. But Lance always stayed in the mix and knew exactly what was going on in the streets. So when someone introduced him to a Jamaican-born Bronx, New York trapper, 31-year-old Marlon Bedford, the two men clicked instantly, both coming from a street background. Marlon had a shop in the Bronx, allegedly getting pounds of grass straight from Jamaica for the low. And even though the money was good up top, he knew he could double that in Baltimore if he found the right person with the right ties to get it off for him. That's where Lance came into play. As the two men chopped it up, Marlon let it be known he wasn't no small-time hustler and asked Lance, could you get off pounds? Lance said, yeah, this my city. I'm in the mix. It's no problem. So Marlon hit the man with $48,000 worth of grass and told him, let me know when you are done and we can keep getting money together. After that, Marlon headed back to New York. Excited, Lance instantly told his girl, like, yo, we on. As Lance hit the streets to get the money, time went by, and Marlon would text and call his phone, like, yo, you finished that pack and got that bread for me? But little did Marlon know, Lance was on what we like to say in Baltimore, a takeoff mission. Meaning you give me something, I tell you in your face, I'ma pay it back, but in my mind, you beat. I took you off. That's mine, and you can try to get it back in blood. But as Lance thought a little deeper about the situation, he figured somebody that had that much weight might be plugged in to something bigger and not no petty trapper. So he figured the best thing to do is get Marlon out the way for good. Lance spoke to Nadira about his plan. Like, shorty, text Joe back, tell him I got jammed up with some ready or girl for out-of-towners. But let him know you got that bread for him and to drive down and meet you. She did what she was told and text Marlon, like, you can come meet me and get that bread. Feeling good, like he laid the foundation in Baltimore, Marlon felt eventually Lance will make bail and they could continue doing business together. On October 30th, 2007, Marlon hopped in his whip with his infant godson and the child's mother and headed south to Baltimore. Nadira sent him a pickup address at the Ravenwood Apartments in the 5800 block of Edge Park Road. The area was in northeast Baltimore, but when Marlon pulled up to the location, he didn't realize a Lincoln Navigator was creeping. Seconds later, multiple shots went off, striking the man. As neighbors heard the commotion, they called BPD, who responded to the scene to find Marlon suffering from multiple gunshot wounds. His female passenger and his godchild was unharmed, but the young lady was shaken up. Marlon was rushed to a local hospital, where unfortunately he wouldn't survive his injuries. The female passenger, who we will call Kierra, told police they were in town to pick up some money from a female, but she stated the woman never showed up. Instead, a man pulled up, shooting out of a Navigator. As detectives searched Marlon's phone records, they found messages between him and Nadira. Being familiar with Lance, they knew he wasn't in jail, and also that he drove a Navigator. A few months would go by as BPD were trying to build a case on the couple. They showed Kierra a photo lineup in which she pointed to Lance as the shooter. Then in December 2007, as Lance was driving the same whip through the city, he was pulled over. Inside the car, they found handguns, a few ounces of grass, a few ounces of ratty, and some smack. He was taken into custody before police revealed he also had a warrant out for first and second degree hit charges. Not long after, Nadira was picked up at their home in the 9800 block of Red Wing Drive in Perry Hall, Maryland, also hit with the same charges. Both remained silent. As the case started making its way to trial, Kierra was the state's key witness. She told the court her and Marlon thought Lance was locked up and they were meeting his wife to pick up the money. But that's when Marlon was ambushed. In a fit of rage, Lance told her, "Don't worry about it. I know where you live, since you want to sit in the courtroom and tell something." To the point, the young lady was scared and he had to be restrained. She stated she was in fear for her life and also said Nadira was just as guilty because she lured them to the apartment. Even though the couple's attorney argued Marlon was a drug dealer and that anybody could have one of him gone stepping in another city, Kierra's testimony and phone records was enough for Lance to be found guilty on all charges, sentenced to life plus 20 years in prison. Prosecutors also told the court the couple were writing letters in which they compared each other to Bonnie and Clyde, which didn't help Nadira. As she cried, she was sentenced to 40 years in prison. Both appealed their cases as time went on, with Nadira stating she changed her life for the better and is now helping the female inmates understand the dangers of the street life, but both appeals were denied. Rest in peace to Marlon. I send my prayers and condolences to his family. This goes to show you, the game you might play in your city could be all love, but when you come around somebody else's city, the rules could change. There's no love in the streets, and a lot of people play for keeps. Marlon broke the #1 rule, trust no one, especially a new face. Nadira seemed like she just wanted to be down and ride for her dude, but Lance being cruddy and her loyalty got them both jammed up and sent away for decades. But hey, that's the Baltimore way. Yeah, man, crazy story. Rest in peace to Marlon. But I ain't gonna talk too much more about this one. Y'all definitely let me know what y'all think in the comments. I appreciate you if you made it to the end. This is another episode of the Baltimore Way. This your boy Tony 2 times. Love, fam. I'm out.